We are truly delighted and eagerly awaiting your presence here this evening as we come together for an insightful session under the Insight X Series 20th edition on the theme Strategy, Execution and Governance in the Era of Disruption and Digitalization.
To begin this evening on a thoughtful note, may I request everyone to kindly rise for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. Please be seated.
Now, to formally welcome you all and set the tone for the evening, I invite Mr. Dilip Narayanan, Vice President and Program Chair, KMA, to deliver the welcome address and introduce the speaker. Sir, the stage is yours.
Namaskaram. Distinguished Chief Guest, Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla, Honorary Secretary Anil Verma, members of the Managing Committee, invited guests, dear KMA members and student chapter members. Good evening. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 20th edition of Insight X series in this KMA year. It's wonderful to see good participation too in this Friday evening. Insight X has always been about bringing diverse perspectives on leadership to KMA. From public policy to entrepreneurship, from sustainability to the future of work, we have tried to curate conversations that are relevant, practical, and thought-provoking. Today's session sits right at the intersection of what every organization is grappling with: disruption and digital transformation. When we talk about digitalization or digital transformation, it is useful to look at not just from the corporate angle, but from the larger three dimensions: digital society, digital government, and digital economy. What we are seeing today is not just a one large visible transformation, but many, many powerful micro innovations. In education, technology is bringing the world's best teachers to remote classrooms in Southeast Asia and rural India. In healthcare, it is enabling remote monitoring and real-time care, the best international care. In governance, platforms like our own UPI have transformed how services are delivered at scale. So technology is not just about enabling businesses, it's redefining how decisions are made, how companies are governed, and how strategies are executed. This raises an important question for all of us, leaders and managers. How do we stay agile yet disciplined? How do we move fast yet govern responsibly? This is exactly what today's session is all about. It's my privilege to introduce our distinguished speaker for this evening, Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla. Mr. Kuruvilla is a managing partner, Middle East and India at Arthur D. Little, and a member of its global board. With nearly 3 decades of experience, he has been at the forefront of advising organizations on strategy, digital transformations, and governance across multiple sectors, including telecom, transport, healthcare, media, and real estate. He played an important role in relaunching Arthur D. Little's Middle East operations and has worked extensively across global markets, bringing a truly international perspective to business transformation. Beyond consulting, he is also deeply engaged in academia and leadership development, serving as faculty at IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, and the Masters Union, Delhi. He also serves as a trusted advisor and board member to several family conglomerates across India and the Middle East, working closely with them on governance, growth, and long-term value creation. What makes his perspective especially relevant today is his deep experience at the intersection of strategy and execution. So we always hear a lot of people talking about strategy. What makes Mr. Kuruvilla very, very special is not only good in just designing ideas, but making them work in real-time, complex, real-world environments. As organizations navigate digitalization and increasing complexity, his insights on adaptive governance and agile strategy execution will be extremely valuable for all of us. Friends, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla to deliver today's InsightX address titled Strategy, Execution and Governance in the Era of Disruption and Digitalization. Before I invite our speaker, I would like to make an update on the important upcoming initiative from KMA. We'll be hosting Muthoot FinCorp KMA Green Palm Sustainability Summit on 22nd April, World Earth Day. This is one of our flagship platforms to recognize organizations and leaders across ESG and CSR functions. The event will be held in Taj Vivanta in the evening at 5 p.m. And we are honored to have Mr. Siddharth Sharma, CEO of Tata Trust, as our chief guest, and there are 4 very eminent leaders in ESG and CSR coming from Bombay and Delhi, and 1 from London. So I request all of you to make note on April 22nd, and please join at Taj Vivanta at 5 p.m. We are also very encouraged and thankful to all the organizations who have applied for who have nominated for the award submissions. The winners will be recognized during the event. As usual, we will be having our next memorial lecture also. The details will be shared soon in the next week. So please keep coming to KMA programs. And we are trying to curate many, many insightful and different programs. And Mr. Kuruvilla has come all the way from, he's actually based in Dubai, and because of the war, I think you're stuck in Trivandrum. So it's our luck and fortune to have him today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. And now, the moment we all been eagerly waiting for. It is my honor to invite our esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla, Managing Partner, Middle East and India, Other Day Little, to deliver the keynote address on today's theme. Sir, we are excited to hear your insights. The stage is yours.
Hello. It's okay. Good. Thank you very much. You can hear me, right? Yes, we can. Definitely my privilege to be here today. I'm not planning to stand there and give a lecture. I'm not planning to. I would like to keep it like a very interactive session. Okay? And this introduction sounds very dangerous. It looks, I cannot believe what I hear about myself. I have a colleague of mine who has been my colleague for how many years?
8 years.
8 years. So I have a colleague here, and she must be laughing listening to the introduction. I don't know. No? It's true? Okay, good, yeah. So I don't want to give a 35, 40 minutes lecture or anything like that. I would like to, if possible, even start having the session with a Q&A. I know the Q&A is supposed to be at the end of the discussion, but I don't mind having Q&A throughout the discussion. Yes. Yes, oh please come. Yeah. And I will just like any other consultant, I have so many slides. I have no intention of presenting all of those slides. It depends on the Q&A and what type of discussions you want to have. Then I will have videos, I have slides, I have explanations. I can get into any number of examples, but I would like it to be triggered from your side versus me talking about all consultants thinks they know everything and they can talk forever, but I'm not sure whether it really makes sense and it should be aligned with what you want to understand, right? Is that fine? Yeah, fine? Okay, good, yeah. So to start with, I will just to introduce the topic, I will just present few ideas and then we can get into the Q&A, right? Actually, just to give you a flavor of what I have in the presentation, I have no intentions of covering all the topics, but I do have what is the impact of AI and digitalization on business, real impact. I can give you a lot of examples, what are things changing and how the world may look like when the complete impact is appearing. I can give you some thoughts on that. And based on that, what are the type of leadership and capabilities that are required to run a business? Because in my view, that is very, very different. If we believe that the business world is going to change fundamentally, the type of leadership and capabilities that are required is also has to change fundamentally, otherwise it doesn't work. And with the impact, with the change in type of people that are required to run a business, how do we execute, how do we govern a business, right? And even though we are talking about business, we can apply it to generic organizations also. It did not be just a profit-making business that we need to have in mind, yeah? Many people talk about disruptions, even now people, when COVID happened or when there was an oil crisis or the current war, there is an impression that this is a crisis and it will go away. At least that is the impression that I had. I have been doing consulting for the last 28 years now, and every time a crisis comes in, we believe that it is a crisis, and now we need to handle the business for that crisis, and then things will become normal, and then we continue running the business. I have a fundamental disagreement with that, right? I have a very strong view that the crisis thinking will always be there, and the crisis will come in from multiple angles. Even AI is a crisis, or when e-commerce happened, it was a crisis, or when internet happened, it was a crisis, when mobile appeared, it was a crisis, when war happens, it's a crisis. So we need to start understanding that crisis, disruptions, unpredictability is a norm of day-to-day life. Because if you start planning for a regular business, and then we see when a crisis happens, let us handle the crisis, then you are not developing the capabilities to handle a crisis. You are trying to develop the capabilities to run a regular business. And I repeat, I don't think you will have regular businesses going forward ever. And every statement I make, I will little bit exaggerate just to push the point across. It's not like whatever I'm saying is not 100% correct, but I will argue it is 80 to 90% correct, but I will just push the thinking a bit forward so that we get a deeper thinking into it, right? And I have a view that there are many more crises that can come, like a cyber attack. I sincerely believe that a next crisis with cyber attack is very much possible in the next 3-4 years. And with the digitalization, with AI, with all of that happening, the probability of a cyber attack coming up is very, very probable in my view, right? You can have a financial bubble. I think we may be going through a financial bubble now, nuclear attack, European Union collapse, natural disaster, supply of raw material like lithium, nickel, all of that are probable disruptions that can happen anytime. So I think we need to be ready to say that the disruptions will become regular, and we need to be ready for that. And if you look at I don't want to go through the slides, it's quite, I just wanted to convey a few messages. And you can already start realizing that businesses are adapting to crisis. For example, if you understand venture funds are normally used when the risk of business is very high, right? You don't take a debt, you try to go to venture fund, because venture fund is a very high risk, high return capital. And the fact that you are taking a lot of venture funds, venture capital, it is an indication that everybody is considering the business to be much more riskier. So the cost of funding has really gone up, which is a clear indication, and the type of funding that is available, like you don't get fixed debt anymore, you get high risk capital more and more, which is an indication that the business is going through high risk, right? So, and there are a lot of indications that everybody is already adapting to a high risk business, right? Now, I will make few points here and then we will get into a discussion. Human intervention is a disaster. Yeah. I repeat, I know what I'm saying and I know you're all shocked, but let me push the point here. And I'm pushing the point a bit further related to AI and digitalization. wherever possible, to the extent maximum possible, if you can eliminate human intervention, you are running the business in the right way. Because if you are using human intervention for something that is predictable and can be automated, you are destroying value. I repeat, if you use human intervention for anything that can be automated, you are 100% destroying value, and you are not creating value by having a human intervention. So the main point that I would all of us to look at is that if you doing something other than it is a relationship or a touristic event or a family event where we are looking at relationships, that is a different ball game, right? I'm not getting into that. I'm talking about any activity which is related to conducting a business, managing an activity, and if human intervention is not required, you should eliminate it, and wherever it could have been eliminated, you should eliminate it completely. And if you don't move in that direction, there is a probability that your business will not survive. And I can give you many, many evidences for that, right? To start with, if you look at all the successful companies now, I will say 80 to 90% of the successful companies, they are all companies that are relatively new compared to the companies that have been in existence for 50, 70, 80, 100 years. Because the problem is that we all are not able to change the mental model that we have, right? So that is why normally when we talk about a company being successful, you need to have experience, you need to have money, you need to have a good brand, correct? I'm just making it very simple. But all the successful companies were able to beat companies which had all of this. You take the YouTube, you take the Amazon, you take the Hotmail, you take every company that came up, they became very successful without these things, and they were able to beat all the companies that had all of this, right? Why is that? Because you are not fundamentally questioning the way you are running your business. And I will even now make a statement which will become very controversial. Your domain knowledge is irrelevant. Somebody is a good doctor, somebody is a good engineer, somebody is a good physicist. We need to start questioning whether the domain knowledge is relevant. I'm again pushing the envelope a bit to say that I may even start arguing that domain knowledge is irrelevant. I'll make two more statements and we'll get into a Q&A, and then we can have a discussion. I can also prove it to you. If you give me any sector, I can explain to you by implementing digitalization, you can double or triple the value of the business, any business, right? And the way we look at, I'm making a lot of generalization because the audience is almost new to me. I have only 2 to 3 familiar faces, so I'm guessing your experience, and maybe I'm making statements which are wrong, and then apologies for that, right? Yeah, because I don't know you, so I may be making a statement which may be wrong, right? So most of us, when we make an assumption on digitalization and the benefit of digitalization, I have noticed that you are not even capturing 5% of the value in our thinking. We are missing 80 to 90% of the value that sits in digitalization. We ignore it. It doesn't come to our mind. And I can take a very simple example. Let us take a very simple example like Ola. You have Ola. So in your view, when Ola came into existence, where is the economic value getting created with Ola? Today we use Ola, right? Use Uber to order a taxi. Where is the value getting created? Go ahead. Somebody has to answer because you have some thoughts in your mind. Convenience. So what is the value of that convenience? How do you put see, at the end of it, for now we are talking about business. So when we talk about business, we need to talk about the economic value, right? Financial benefit, right? That's what we are talking about. So what is the value of that convenience?
Value is on the effectiveness of the
of the application, correct? So in your view, so
With more customers, they have that trust on that business.
so what is that we saved? Time, correct? Very good, fine. So we are saving the time of somebody. If I have to order something, normally it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes. I have to keep calling somebody, get the taxi, give the direction and all of that. And instead of taking 20 minutes, I can just order it in 1 minute. So per order of a taxi, you saved 15 minutes. What else is the economic benefit?
Resource deployment, optimal resource deployment.
You are talking about the taxis. So what is the, how did you calculate the economic benefit of that taxi deployment?
The shortest distance, a taxi might be at the nearest point where you are calling the taxi.
Correct?
So the distance in terms of fuel, in terms of time, the value addition, yeah.
Okay.
And even for the driver,
Driver.
flexi time, he can take the call, or he
Right, he can.
pass it on to someone else.
So the same driver is able to do more trips. Do you think the driver is making more money? No, driver is not making more money. Driver is not making money. So we need to start understanding where is the, I'm just using this example to get some thoughts on this, right? So the driver is not making more money, by the way. The driver is, because the cost of the trip has come down. So the convenience of the, so we made money as a passenger. Like when I go to Trivandrum, earlier I had to pay 1,000 rupees to go my home, or 1,200. Today I'm paying only 300 or 400 because I use Uber. So sorry.
Uber and other drivers are getting a return trip. So actually they are making money. In the other cases, he will come back end. If you take a no. Earlier,
Correct.
The driver comes without any trip.
Correct. So the point I'm saying, okay, sorry, no, I think I'm not communicating correctly. What I'm saying is see, we have to look at economic benefits and where it goes. So what I'm saying is the driver did not make more money, did not lose money also. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So the driver used to make 3 trips in a day and he used to get 1,200 rupees because from Trivandrum airport he goes to my home, he comes return vacant and he gets 1,000. Earlier, correct.
And all, you get a return trip.
Correct. But the price from 1,200 came to 300. Per trip, you see. So the driver is, in my view, not in my view, I've actually analyzed it. The driver is still making.
See, earlier there is a taxi organization there. He worked under them.
Correct.
Now that person is not there.
Correct.
Whatever money he is getting.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So I don't know whether it is still it is the same money he gets or not. That's a different question. Otherwise, you know, the taxi agency or organization gives him some.
Correct. Correct.
Salary only.
Correct.
Now he's the owner.
Correct. That's correct. I agree with all the points you are saying.
And he can, many people drive 10 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours like that, you know.
Correct.
And
Correct.
also, earlier, you know, you come very empty. So you go to drop from the airport.
Correct.
Come back, you know, without it was. So now I think you should be getting more money.
Okay. So my view is, I don't want that's
Possible.
possible, but the difference will not be high. Let me even put it that way. Yeah, because the benefit is, if you look at every service that is being given because of digitalization, I'm going to make another statement which can be controversial. The cost per unit of item has come down because of digitalization. Everything, we think cost of living is going up. That is wrong. The cost of the food that you order today at home via Swiggy or Zomato, or the taxi that you take, or the cost you incur to watch a movie, or almost every item or service or a product you are getting today, on a per unit basis, the cost has come down. Your expenditure did not come down because you are consuming more. We are consuming more movies. We are having better food ordered from a 5-star hotel many more times. I'm having more variety of dress. I'm having more shoes. So there is an economic benefit that has come to the customer as a per unit cost coming down. Similar to Uber, for me, I had to pay 1,200. Today I'm paying only 400. To consume a movie, in the past I had to pay 100 rupees. Today I can watch it for 2 rupees, right? I can, because of Amazon e-commerce, I'm getting, so almost every single item, the per unit cost has definitely come down. If our expenditure did not come down, it is because we are consuming more and more. And so we are spending the same, because we still spend our disposable income, but we enjoy more of life. That's my view. Right. Now, coming back to the point that we are discussing. So, we are talking about the taxi economics of taxi becoming better. I'll give you the actual numbers. So, before Uber or Ola came in, the occupancy of a taxi was 50%. Now it is 95%. Right? So, now we will say that we need half of the taxis to manage the traffic. So, what is the economic benefit? You saved some 20-30% taxis, and you saved 15-20 minutes of the passenger. Correct? Anything else?
They're different, sorry.
Sorry?
More utilization of the petrol.
Correct. So, that is second. See, let me tell you, actually we did a project for, Swapna, maybe you are aware, we actually did a project for the ruler of Dubai with Road Transport Authority on Uber and Careem. Uber and Careem was banned in Dubai. It was banned. It was 10 to 12 years back, it was banned. And if somebody uses Uber or Careem, you have to pay a fine of 5,000 dirham. 5,000 dirham is 1 lakh rupees now. You had to pay 1 lakh rupees fine for using an Uber and Careem. But the owner of Uber and Careem told them that you still take the passenger and pay the fine. So they were actually paying the fine. Why? Because they wanted to have the number of trips to go up so that the valuation of the company goes up. So they were playing a very different game. So they were willing to pay the fine, because even in 100 trips, if you pay fine for 1 trip, it doesn't matter, because the valuation of the company goes up when the number of trips are going up. So they actually asked a study for Arthur D. Little to do a study, and I came back and made the same recommendation, saying that at that time there were 4,000 taxis in Dubai. So I told them you can save 3,000 taxis. The ruler almost threw me out of the room. He said, Thomas, what do you mean? You want to make a big announcement that 1,000 drivers lost their job? Forget it. That is nothing. I don't want to make that announcement. We want to ban Uber. We want to ban Careem. I don't want to block the RTA taxis, and I don't want to ban. Because the RTA taxi drivers, number of taxi drivers will come down, and the Dubai ruler did not want to give an impression that 1/4 of the taxi drivers have been fired. He didn't want to do that. I can give you many more examples, right? So he said 1,000 taxis saved is nothing. Then we did a separate study, and I'll give you the outcome of the study in 1 minute. See, if you don't, and that is where I want all of you to start thinking about what is the digitalization, or meaning of digitalization. If you don't even allow Uber and Careem, you will never go into an autonomous car logic, because you are not even allowing the initial point of automation. So if you don't allow the initial point of automation, you will not think of a driverless car anymore. Now, if you stretch that argument, again I'm giving this as an example. If you have autonomous cars, the distance between 2 cars can be next to each other. Because if it's a manual driving, you need to keep 3 car space in between. Fair enough? So the same road, if you have 2 cars like this, if it is autonomous, it is next to each other. If it is driverless, the speed can be double. If all the cars are autonomous, you don't have to drive the car at 60 kilometers an hour, because all the cars are talking to each other, they will go very quickly. So the speed can be 120. Now, just take these parameters. Initially, we thought about 35% savings of the car. No. The same road can accommodate 3 times the car, and the speed is double. The same road infrastructure can accommodate 7 to 8 times the capacity. So the road infrastructure that is required in Dubai can be made half or 1/3 to transport the same amount of passengers. Are you getting the point I'm saying? So see, look at, and this is the mistake that we do in automation. See, look at what we did. We only looked at the savings of 1,000 taxis. The real saving is the entire road infrastructure of a country could have been made half. And that is in billions and billions of dollars saving. Now, if you understood this example, this is the case in every sector. In education, we may think that, oh, Thomas, instead of studying something for 10 rupees, he is studying it for 5 rupees. But the same education institute can teach 3 or 4 times the students, because you are going to copy a teacher, you are going to automate the teacher, he is going to be a digital avatar. Instead of teaching 30 students, he can teach 60 to 100 students, right? We are doing a project for GEMS. I'll give you one very short example and then I will move on. So we are helping them to digitalize teaching schools. 2 plus 2 is 4 or 4 plus 4 is 8. Simple. See, we thought it is very simple. But the benefit when we started digitalizing it is amazing, because in a teaching session, many of you may be teachers, only 1/3 of the students and the teacher are, I'm making many approximations here, only 1/3 of the students and the teacher is synchronized. 1/3 is not following and 1/3 are too smart. I'm making a very high level approximation here. So in a classroom session, only 1/3 of the students are actually fully utilized. Others are underutilized, or some of us are like they don't understand what's going on. Now when we digitalize this, we digitally copied an actual teacher that the students know, so they don't feel that it's a computer teaching them. If it is Thomas, they actually took the picture of Thomas. Thomas actually taught the subject, it takes it and then it starts teaching. Now, while teaching, it is reading the mind and the expressions of the student to guess whether the student is learning it. So I'll say 2 plus 2, and from the facial expressions, the camera says he understood that it is 4. Now, if he doesn't understand 2 plus 2 is 4, then the system will show him a football. He doesn't like a football. I show a Ferrari car. I like Ferrari car. So now it will show 2 Ferrari cars plus 2 Ferrari cars. How many Ferrari cars? You see, the student who was hating mathematics, the system will start showing him some images, a movie star, some disco, some football, some ice cream, some sports car, and suddenly his face lights up. And they use that to teach him 2 plus 2 is 4. So what the system is doing is, it is, and 100% of the students got educated in that system. And you're teaching at different pace, because if you take 10 minutes, it will teach you for 10 minutes. If you take only 1 minute, it will move on to multiplication and it will move on. So 100% of the students got, I'm giving you a very, very, very simple example. 100% of the students got educated. Nobody's time is wasted. Somebody can learn faster, somebody can learn slower, but everybody got educated. Now, the final input. They did not have to conduct an exam, because after teaching them, the system, watching their facial expressions, it could say, if I conduct an arithmetic examination for these 100 students, 98 of them will pass and 2 of them will not pass, and I will tell you who will not pass. And we conducted the exam, the result was 100% accurate. So you are not even putting the student under the pressure of going through an exam and telling you are an idiot, you're not an idiot, you're not learning, you fail, you know, nothing. The system is teaching them, and they will teach till you learn the thing and you're gone. Why I'm giving all these examples is, if you now you can extrapolate this to anything. We have done digitalization for hospitals, right? It is not about a doctor is teaching, treating 2 patients instead of 1 patient. The hotel infrastructure. So we did a project for a hospital called Mediclinic. Instead of like 80% of the patients who used to come, only 20% come. 60% is online. 60% is online. They will do a video call with the doctor. The doctor may even say that, okay, we need to take a blood test. The Swiggy bike will come to your home, take the blood test. So you're done in 5 minutes with the doctor. You finished everything in 5 minutes. The doctor will say you need to take a blood test. Somebody will come and take the blood test. The blood test will go to the doctor. The doctor will do it in her own time. She will prescribe the medicine. The medicine will come online. They'll come to your home. So you just spent 5 minutes. You got everything. You don't have to block your 2 hours to go to the hospital. You don't need a parking space in the hospital. You don't need a reception to be there entering your data and making mistakes. The savings is 70 to 80%. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you look at all these examples, the benefit of digitalization, what we consider is only 5% of what is really possible. So that is why it is very important to start thinking that you need to really, really digitalize everything that you're doing in life. And if anything that you don't digitalize, you are making a big mistake, because you are losing so many things. And if others are going to digitalize, you are out. You will be definitely be out. There is, in my view, there is no doubt about it if you don't digitalize your day-to-day activities. And if you digitalize, the savings is 3, 4, 5, 10 times more than what we are imagining. And I'm just sharing you 2 to 3 examples. I can give that example in automation, I can give it in tourism, I can do it in energy, I can do it in construction, I can give it in healthcare, I can go in any sector and show it to you that what we are thinking versus the real benefit, it is a multiplier of 5, 6, 7, 10 times is the benefit that we are missing, which the Amazons and the Googles understood for some reason, and hence they are able to create trillions and trillions of dollars of value in such a small time, while others who are not thinking in that mode are still struggling and trying to make small things. Yeah.
What is the time frame?
Now,
No, it's not there. Let's take the case of the autonomous cars.
correct.
Now it's running, but it is under just even now.
So,
4 years.
so it all depends. So if you want to get into autonomous car in Dubai, there are areas which autonomous cars are already done, only in selected areas, right? So autonomous car today are fully developed if you don't mix it with manual cars.
That is technically under test.
No. So there are places in Dubai where only autonomous cars are allowed. You cannot have an autonomous car with a manual car.
But Dubai is probably not a very good example. But
Not, correct.
the US. US is the
Correct. It may take another 4 to 5 years, maybe. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to discuss here is not the time frame, because time frame is it depends. In the time frame in my hometown in Edatwa, it may never come, right? It may never come, right? Because so, yeah, correct. Because it's yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah.
connectivity what they have.
Right.
Edatwa will be equal to Trivandrum or for that matter New Delhi or New York.
Correct.
But the basic question is that a maturity has to be achieved for the system.
Correct.
Now, that maturity would probably speed up as days pass by.
Correct.
But still, what is your expectation for general environment like offices, hospitals, schools and all that? To get this, for instance, to get this automation at the hospital, it will be coming in stages, I agree. I have
3 to 4 years in my view.
That is the AGI time.
Sorry?
That is the AGI time.
No, 3 to 4 years it will happen. I'm very sure.
I see.
Yes, it will happen. Hospitals, see, we did a study. No, it will happen. No, it's not ideal. Ideal could have been even shorter. 3 to 4 years it will happen. If we don't make it happen,
They are talking about general intelligence. They are expecting the general intelligence to come into play in 4 years' time.
no, the hospital to be autonomous, not only general intelligence coming in. General intelligence already come in. It has to get implemented into hospitals. You need to update the systems. You need to have interactions. People have to get trained. That is what is going to take time. It is not for the general intelligence to be there. It's for me, it is already there for education and healthcare and autonomous vehicles. The general intelligence and the technology is already there. The delay of 3 to 4 years is the implementation, the regulation, the people to get adapted to it, to build the infrastructure and all of that. Is why the 3 to 4 years is going to happen, right? It is not because it's not there. The technology is already there for almost all the items that I mentioned. Yeah. So, but the point I'm making is not that. The point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, it's there. It's coming. And I'm talking about ourselves. So we need to think about where we are playing and what we are doing or what we are trying to help people with. And there we need to start having this thinking, because if you are delayed, you will become irrelevant. So whether it takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, that it's debatable. It may not even come to Kerala, may not, I don't know. But if you don't have this thinking, you are definitely gone in 3-4 years time. That is, I know I'm making a bit of a drastic statement. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
There's no disagreement that
Please disagree. That is the fun of it.
No, no, I'm getting to that point. There is
Yeah.
no disagreement that digitalization is the way forward.
Right.
But I think it's one formula doesn't fit all, right? Because in different countries, the rate of adoption will be different.
Correct.
For example, if you walk into a car showroom here, the salesman will say, "Sir, this says ADAS 3, ADAS 2," and then they say, "Switch it off," okay?
Right.
Because it's not going to. So I think the infrastructure, the whole ecosystem also has to evolve.
Correct.
So yeah, that's the point I'm trying to.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Today I was
And
talking-
probably we have some other priority areas where digitization can go in full swing, yeah? Relevant to the country, whether it's Dubai, whether it's India, whether
Correct.
it's somewhere else, yeah.
So if you want me to give you some general inputs about digitalization, the maximum benefit of digitalization will come from education, because education is the sector by which the cost can be maximum reduced. If I'm making general statement, if you take various sectors and where is the cost reduction the highest is in education, because you can reduce the cost by 90% on education. The second highest is healthcare. So healthcare and education are the two areas where the savings are the highest percentage from digitalization. And it is very minimal when it goes towards, like, natural resources, drilling and, producing oil and things like that. So it moves from how much digital content is playing a role in the industry versus how much physical content is playing a role in the sector. That will vary the impact of digitalization.
When you talk
Sir.
about education,
Right.
per se,
Yeah,
they're talking about the knowledge base there, delivering that knowledge base.
correct.
Not the next step of enabling, is it?
No, no. So the process and the cost incurred to educate.
Delivering what is available or what is there.
No, you can even producing content is also becoming extremely cheap.
I agree.
Yeah,
And what I'm saying is that when you talk about
correct.
automation education, we're talking about delivering what is known in the spectrum. That is, this is the theory and this is the explanation for the theory and what have you. Whereas in the case of education, what happens now is that they are enabling the children to think differently.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Is that going to be the benefit of AI?
Yes, absolutely. Because even the very simplest example I gave to you, you are actually, it's a very crude way of explaining. You're enabling the person how to think and look at thinking about 2 plus 2 in a much more positive way, attractive way, excited way, which he would have ignored. So it's all because of AI. Artificial intelligence, understanding, reading your mind, keeping you excited, keeping you glued to the screen by showing you footballs. Even the content development, research and development, the speed is unbelievable. Yeah.
That is done.
Yeah.
I think it's over.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. So it's not only the delivery, it is across everything. Delivery, content production, keeping people attracted. Even to the extent of, it may be becoming an education. See, even to the extent of there is a process, it's another project that we are doing in which we are telling them that you don't have to have the same curriculum from class 1 to class 10. Right? Because in the past, why did you have to have the same curriculum? Because you are physically teaching. So you cannot have one teacher teaching horse riding and one teacher teaching one student painting. So it was a physical constraint by which you needed to have the same curriculum for all the students from grade 1 to grade 10. And now we started thinking that is the right way of educating. That was not the right way of educating. I'm sorry, that's my view. So today we are able to find out by reading people and say, this guy, it is better to teach him economics now. So in second standard or third standard, system is able to find out there's no point trying to teach him history. He's very good in economics. Let me start teaching him economics. And now it is individual teaching. So you don't need to have the mass also. Earlier, if one person wants to know economics in class 5, one teacher cannot teach 2 people. The economics doesn't work, right? So now linking back to the first statement that I made, that is why this statement suddenly becomes, now we are already getting there. It is a very deep topic. You see, the domain knowledge of education may be irrelevant because it is corrupting our thinking.
Sir,
So that becomes a very debate. I'll come to you. So that becomes very debatable because I had a discussion with the doctors. So doctors told me, Thomas, are you saying that? I said yes, because half of the thing that you train to conduct an operation, it is done by the machines. You could have learned something else, right? But learning how to do an operation, it's gone. You see, so it is also a controversial statement of how do you define domain knowledge. So whatever domain knowledge that you have gained, that could be automated, that is gone. Yeah, it is an application. It is an unpredictable application is your domain knowledge, not even a predictable application, because you don't need that. Because if you know, if you know how to operate and it is predictable how to operate, that's not domain knowledge. Okay, that is domain knowledge, but it is irrelevant, because the moment an application is repetitive and predictable, machine will do it. Right? Yes, go ahead, please.
So what I feel is we should have a proper mix of digitalization, automation, and conventional method, because I can give you a number of examples. So
right.
during COVID pandemic, there was no Swiggy or something like that. Only our neighborhood stores were feeding us, isn't it? So fully digitalization means whenever there is a disruption.
Yeah, so you're right. So let me explain that slightly differently. See, am I audible? Yeah. There's a bit of an echo. Yeah. See, you're raising a very good point. Sometimes your statement is very valid, but I'm just trying to look at it two different ways. Because we digitalized, we cannot do something, but even if you have digitalized, you can still do that manually if required. You see the difference in the thinking. So it is not that you digitalized and COVID came, then you just go to your next store and buy without ordering on the app. But expecting that once in a while COVID will come, let me not digitalize is the mistake. But your point is very valid. But if I digitalize, then if COVID happens, I don't know how to order food, and hence let me not digitalize. That is where I am disagreeing. But will we have to rely on human at some? Yes, for sure. But because of that, don't stop digitalization. Like when we automate education, you still need to bring the students and the teachers together once in a while. So wherever we fully educated, we still told the students have to come to the class once a week.
But initially you told that the next expected danger is a cyber attack.
Correct.
So in that, such a situation, everything will be shut down.
Correct. So again, so let me give you an example from, I'll give you an example again from Edatwa, from my hometown. See, the problem with this thinking, because if a cyber attack comes, something will go wrong. If something happens, something will go wrong, and hence we keep giving explanations for not digitalizing. Like in Edatwa, I'm from Edatwa. I'm sure most of you know Edatwa. It's a place that Krishi is there, right?
I know from Kanjipadam. So
Kanjipadam, okay. Edatwa.
But I want to ask you one thing in between.
Right, go ahead.
Between Edatwa and Kochi city.
Right.
The transportation.
Actually, in Edatwa, as you know, boat and very little transportation is necessary. In Cochin, I am here for the last 50 years.
Correct.
The traffic congestion.
Correct.
In any way, this digitalization is going to help reduce the transportation, as your experience in Dubai.
100%.
How it is, sir?
I'll tell you. See, first of all, you have to look at digitalization from two angles. Yeah. First of all, if you digitalize very well, the requirement of travel comes down, first of all. So I'm going to the fundamentals. I'm giving you two angles. One aspect is, I repeat, if you really digitalize, half of the transport that we are having today may not be required. The second thing is, once you digitalize, you can optimize mode of transport. It's already happening in Dubai, right? Today, you can share a cab. So the possibility of identifying which cars that you can share, the possibility went up because of digitalization. So to what extent we can optimize is depending on so many topics that we discussed. But digitalization will 100% make traffic congestion less. There's no doubt about it. It will, because it's always contributing towards optimizing the asset. Optimizing, Thomas, you don't have to go, because instead of me going to the hospital, taking a car and coming back, that got reduced by a bike to start with. It's a part of digitalization to reduce the congestion. I did not go to the hospital. I did not park. I did not drive on the road. I did not park it in the hospital, right? So digitalization definitely reduces. See, when we did a study for Dubai government, it may sound a bit hilarious to project how the world will look like in 2071. 2071, because that was the 100th year of Dubai's existence. If Dubai came in existence in 1971, so they wanted to study how Dubai will look like in 2071. By 2050, there will be zero travel other than for entertainment. Your travel is only because you want to enjoy the travel. You like to drive a sports car, or you want to go and meet physically. But almost 100% of the travel that is required for a business need will get eliminated by 2050. That is around 60 to 70% of the traffic, right? But then it had other consequences of what will happen to the health of people. You are not moving. Then there is another scheme saying that, okay, we will start measuring the health of people, and then we will incentivize them to do exercise. The insurance will be linked to it. This is all real studies, by the way. So if this happens, people don't travel, they become sick. So then we tell them that you will monitor your this thing, and then we will give you insurance coverage if you exercise. So everything has to be addressed. So to your point, cyber attack, the chances of destroying something with cyber attack significantly increased because of digitalization, but not digitalizing is not the answer. Trying to counter cyber attack is the answer to that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not disagreeing with any of the points that are being mentioned, but using that to say let me not move on digitalization is where I'm saying it is stupidity. Yeah. Yes.
Sir, the
Sir.
cyber attack is more serious than what you are emphasizing, because many of the systems are highly vulnerable.
Correct.
For example, our Aadhaar database, it's a national level at one or couple of clouds.
Correct.
So now AI is accelerating the human thinking at many levels.
Correct.
To the power 10 or 8.
Correct.
So some rogue sitting in some other country, if he enters with a super intelligent AI of AI, it can cause enormous disruption, especially with Aadhaar, banks, military intelligence systems. So the more you digitalize, the more the danger is from enemy participants using AI of AI.
Okay, so let me get into that. I know I'm deviating, so there is an answer to that also. So the issue of vulnerability of AI, it is not because it is AI, it is because it is centralized. So there is a very, very serious initiative that is going on to decentralize the databases, right? So, but there is a negative effect of that, because when you decentralize, the cost goes up, right? So there is a balance between security, vulnerability and cost, because if you centralize, the cost comes down, but the vulnerability goes very high because you can just attack one. So now there is a very conscious regulation even for the Aadhaar. There is a decision taken that we need to start decentralizing everything, still getting 100% of the benefit of digitalization and AI, but let us decentralize. Multiple Aadhaar systems will be running in parallel. One will go off, one will go on, nothing will be in, both of them will never be on at the same time, right? So once one will be shut, right? So if this gets attacked, the other one will come on. So you can have 3 backups, 4 backups. So that is what is happening. So the cost of having this backups will go up, but if you decentralize, the threat of an attack comes down versus today, because today everything is centralized. That is why people are saying that we should not allow ChatGPT or Anthropic or Google or AT, all of these companies to be very, very, very powerful, because that one company can kill the whole world. So it is very necessary to break them, break the monopoly, split them and decentralize them and all of that. Yeah.
The recent Middle East crisis highlighted the importance of these cables and all, underground sea cables.
Correct.
Or that. If it's attacked, the entire financial system will break down. So tomorrow's war will be digital, as I'm telling you, and they also are attacking this 7
Correct.
American,
That's correct. Yeah. Absolutely valid. Again, I'm sorry, I will be repeating what I said. So that should not be a reason not to digitalize. The reason is now let us duplicate that cable, put a cable which doesn't pass through this, and the cost goes up. Yeah.
Digitalization also,
Correct.
Industrialization itself is sort of digitalization.
Correct.
See, inventing a knife.
Correct.
That saves time, basically just removing the middleman or intermediaries.
Correct.
that happens over history, you know.
Correct, exactly.
Sir, I have a point to make.
Yeah. We need to, you need to decide when to stop, because it's
I have a point to make here.
Yeah, sir, go ahead.
Your statement here, domain knowledge may be outdated. That's debatable. I tell you the reason why.
Yeah.
I personally feel that any digitalization or any automation is only just an enabler.
Correct, I agree.
Point number one. Point number two, see, my friend, they've told, ideally this should be hybrid model.
Correct.
So that could be avoided, that any disruption, anything happens, cyber attack, so anything will be hybrid model will be right example to do that.
Correct.
See, coming back to, I'm an entrepreneur, coming back to business, you are saying that 100% on digitalization is not a right model, hybrid is best model. Why I'm saying, in business also, the struggling point or challenge is that, we are struggling to identify the area qualified for digitalization is issue.
Right.
Point number one.
Correct.
So everybody is saying that digitalization is that era is going to come. If you are not digitalized, you will get redundant. Absolutely right. Question, business people like us, we don't know which is the qualified for that digitalization, which can be applied in automation AI. That is a challenge that business people is facing at this point.
Okay.
Do you have any?
I will give you an answer for that. So first, I'll just give an So just you brought up two topics, right? So first topic is we need to have an hybrid, correct? So let me argue that slightly differently. My personal, again, see, whenever I'm saying something, I'm just sharing my view. I don't want to say I'm right or wrong. You're all very experienced people. I'm just asking you to think about what I'm saying. And you make your own conclusions, because it is very difficult to say something is right and wrong. I should have said that in the beginning of the session. I'm giving you thoughts. You can synthesize it, agree with it, disagree with it, and you take your own conclusion. So I'm just giving you my views based on what I have done, okay? So when you talk about hybrid, you will not be able to 100% digitalize. So whatever cannot be digitalized, you need to have human intervention. And that I can call hybrid. But if somebody is saying, Thomas, I need to have hybrid, and something that cannot be digitalized, that can be digitalized, I will not digitalize because I need to have hybrid, that is where I disagree. You see? So the hybrid is not because I don't want to digitalize and I want to have a hybrid system. No, I disagree with it. You have to digitalize whatever is. I'll come to your second question. You have to digitalize whatever you can digitalize. There will always be a component that cannot be digitalized, and that will be the human intervention, and that at the end of it, everything in life will be hybrid, right? Sometimes it is 50-50, sometimes it's 10-90, sometimes it's 90-10. But the design should be, in my view, to eliminate. Because human beings are designed not to handle repetitive, predictable tasks. That is, we are fundamentally not wired for that. That is what a machine is wired for. So a human being should never ever do something that is predictable. If a machine can do it, that's not our wire. Now that actually falls into the question, the second question that you asked, and I'll come to your question. What type of people you need? I will tell you. Again, this is a bit debatable, and I try to classify it as leaders and managers, right? I try to call it, but I'm stretching the term to convey the message. So let me tell you, because it's directly answering that question. Right? Leaders and managers. See, because we don't have much time, let me just run through that very quickly. I'm already giving my own definition for these two terms, because I need to have a basis to have a discussion. Managers are the people who are managing repetitive tasks. Leaders they are comfortable with, they like options, they don't like consistency, they like disruption, they like to break things up. They are comfortable with it. Yeah, managers are completely the other way around, right? Leaders don't like to have control. They don't like to have control, leaders. They are okay. They don't need alignment. They are okay with doing whatever they want. Managers want best practices, design, sense of comfort. They need to be, everything to be structured, right? Now, if you look at the current businesses, if you take a business today, maybe 10% of the people have a leadership qualities. I'm again little bit exaggerating. Not exaggerating, just giving numbers to something just to convey the message. 80 to 90% of the workforce are people who are doing repetitive things that you can instruct them to do, and let us call them managers, right? So if you agree with the definition of leaders are doing things that are not predictable, guiding, there's no fixed way of doing it. They are leaders. They are always looking at some problem, some chaos, some options. I'm trying to innovate and all. Managers are following something that is clear. You go and do this, you open the door, you clean the class, managers, right? Now, if you take my original logic, that repetitive task has to be eliminated, the managers are getting eliminated. So, sorry? So, what happens is, nothing will happen to KMA. You are not doing repetitive tasks. So, you have to automate the process of inviting people. That's okay. Maybe the whole thing will be automated. Automation. We have banks which are fully automated, by the way. There's a bank just on the app. There are telecom companies fully on the app, by the way. I can give you the examples if you have time. So, if you stretch what I'm trying to tell you, today we have 10% leaders and 90% managers. The moment we fully implement digitalization and automation, technically everything that is done by a manager is eliminated. Correct? Now answering your question very short. If you are able to tell extremely clearly to somebody what they have to do, that is what you need to digitalize. That is what, he's asked me a question, Thomas, how do I prioritize digitalization? There's a simple way of looking at it. If there is anybody in the company that you can give extremely clear instructions on what to do, that is what you should eliminate. Because you can tell the person exactly what to do. You could have got it done by a computer. So, the jobs that if there is somebody in your company that you cannot clearly tell him what to do, that you cannot digitalize, because in the digitalization you have to digitalize it, you have to fix the process. So, if anybody you are giving a clear instruction, I'll give you a very simple example in our office. There's a person called Nandu. He's the office boy. He's an office boy, he cleans the office. So, I use this example to explain whether that should be automated or not automated, right? So, Nandu is a real person. He's a very close friend of Swapna and myself. He's an office boy. So, he's one of the most intelligent person, and he gets the highest performance ranking in our entire company. Our office boy gets the highest performance factor in the entire consulting company. He's that good, So, Nandu, we used to tell him, Nandu, you have to come and clean the room at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? So, every day 10 o'clock he will clean meeting room 1, 11 o'clock he will clean meeting number 2, like that, right? Then some days he came and told me, Thomas, this is not the way to do it, because when I come to your room at 10 o'clock, you are having a meeting there. So, I should not clean that, you are disturbing you. Okay. So, then another day I noticed him that he's supposed to bring coffee. So, I was watching from the door, and in these doors we can see through the in between there are white spaces. So, I saw Nandu coming outside with coffee, and he's not coming inside the room. Then he disappears for 10 minutes, again comes back. He didn't come inside the room. And then after some time he came and gave coffee. After around 1 week I saw him in the pantry. I said, Nandu, what was happening? Why did he not come inside the room? He said, Thomas, whenever I come and try to give you the coffee, you are having big meeting. The coffee is less important than the meeting I can see from your face. So I decided not to bring you coffee. I said, okay, but why are you going back? I said, Thomas, after 5 minutes the coffee becomes cold. I'm making it hot and coming back. So, now why I am giving this example, it's a very useful example, because if Nandu's job is to clean the room at 10, 11 and 12, you automate it. If Nandu's job is to watch people around, Thomas is not having a meeting, let me go and clean. You cannot automate. You see, so the same job you have to look at, so every job has to be value adding. If it is not value adding, if you don't automate, it is stupidity.
I have a point, sir.
Yes.
Now we are agreeing that the 10% of total mass would be leaders
90% manager, right?
It's a number. It's yeah, correct.
Then our first statement is being debated because we need that 10% leadership.
Correct. It may be 10, 20, 15. Yeah.
Extent they are, domain experts.
Correct.
Agree?
Correct.
So our statement is that domain expert will be get eliminated, outdated is a wrong statement, I say.
So very good. So you are now touching the very, very critical point. Now let me go back. Now I'll get a bit more deeper on the topic, and if it gets a bit heavy, let me know. Yeah. Now it is a definition of domain knowledge. See, so I can argue both ways, but then we have to change the definition. And give me 1 minute so that it will get very clear to you. I am making this presentation in today's context. Today's context, when we define what is the domain knowledge of a doctor, there is 50 to 60% which is he is doing today, right? And that can be automated, for example. So it is in that context I am saying that if in your today's definition of a domain knowledge of a doctor, the 62% of his domain knowledge is related to conducting an operation that a machine can do, or Nandu's 60% of what he is doing today is a repetitive task. In that context, I am saying you need to question whether you need domain knowledge. Now, in the new definition of what a doctor is supposed to do, and we eliminate this from the domain knowledge of the doctor, this statement is completely wrong. You need domain knowledge. So what I am trying to convey by this message is not that domain knowledge is outdated. I had to start with that point to trigger your thinking. It is actually a redefinition of domain knowledge.
So
because you will all, yes, correct?
That's what should be there, not what you written. Yeah.
I got you to think, no?
Next time you give, we should change.
No, then you will not get into this deep in your mind. At least you are thinking. I'm checking whether you're listening.
Thomas, I have a question.
Yes, no, let me finish. Let me go on the sequence.
I think on this, sorry,
Yes,
can
please.
I?
No, next year.
My thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, domain knowledge is, I think, okay, first of all, I think we should have set the context from based on what you're saying.
Yeah.
Disruption is not going to lead to a crisis. Disruption is actually an opportunity. If you look at the human history, every single disruption, from printing press to steam engine to everything, has created opportunities,
Absolutely.
enormous opportunities.
Absolutely.
Now coming to domain knowledge, I studied engineering long time back, okay? And we had a 8-semester course, so we had syllabus printed even before you start. Maybe that syllabus was valid for 5, 6, 10 years. The point now, I keep telling my friends that now if you start engineering, by the time you get to 2nd or 3rd semester, the syllabus might not be relevant because subjects would have changed, automation would have come in, every single things have changed. So, and you have to constantly upskill. So domain knowledge to me is not just something, like you draw boundaries around. You have to constantly upskill.
Correct.
Otherwise, you are not relevant to what you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Let he just finish.
Why this came to me,
Yeah.
I was as a banker. We have took around 6 to 7 years to digitalize.
Right.
I was heading that part. I know what is difficult it is. So without our set of the people, because since I am also part of the team, I was a banking expert. I was a part of team. Without the team expertise, that wouldn't happen.
Correct.
So that's what I'm saying. That there is a definition of domain knowledge is deep. We should use in a fragmented way.
Correct, I understand. So just I have the mic, so thank you very much. So let me just deep dive a bit more onto that topic, right? So last month I was in a IIM Ahmedabad Dubai campus. So the professors asked me, Thomas, can you tell us which subject we should concentrate on? And they were very unhappy with my answer. I said, see, it is very difficult to predict what is the domain and the knowledge that is relevant in 5 years' time. So what is the purpose of learning? I said, the fact that we studied physics, chemistry or mathematics is you are developing the capability for people to learn and unlearn. That is what education should be doing. So I'm not upset that I studied physics or mathematics, because I had to study something to develop the capability of knowing something. Because I was good in learning mathematics and physics, today I can learn AI. If I did not, somebody did not try to teach me something, today I would have been a dumb student and I would not be able to learn something. So they were not happy with this. Thomas, we need to develop. I said, you develop whatever, no, teach them anything, whatever you think is appropriate. Well, my answer is the process of teaching is not to teach them economics. It is to teach them how to learn economics, so that tomorrow it may not be economics. Who knew about ChatGPT? So when you are teaching them coding, you are not teaching them C++. You are not teaching them Oracle. You are teaching them how to write a computer program. And now they can do ChatGPT code, right? So that is where we need to say that is the purpose of education. And you can call that domain knowledge also. The ability to learn is a domain. So it's, at the end of it, you can even question everything that I said if you challenge the definition of what I am calling by leaders, managers and all of that. Then coming to your question, when I said that today we have 10% leaders and 80% managers, but if you implement what we are saying, managers are gone. That means you will have 90% leaders then, because the work that is done by the managers got eliminated. You see, so the type of people that we need, that was the last topic, the type of people that we need is also going to be very, very, very different. We should be having people who are able to think and take decisions, but the mistake that we do is we hire people to give instructions. Correct. That is again that is stupid, right? Because we are saying that we cannot give instructions anymore. We should be bringing people who are able to behave like leaders. We should be bringing people who are able to take decisions, which also means you are bringing people and to facilitate them versus instructing them. Because if you are able to instruct, I already told you that you have to eliminate them, because you should have automated the whole task, right?
My question, Thomas, is about, there is a disruption with AI and people are losing jobs.
Correct.
It depends on the stakeholder. It's good for business.
Right.
It's hard for humans, just families and people. For governments, the whole unemployment thing, the index goes up. So you're advising governments about, implement digitalization. That's important, no doubt, the most value. Are we also thinking of what we can do with the conundrum also about humans? We have to come up with new jobs, new industries, aren't we also having that dialogue? So much no. What do you think about it?
No, so I'll tell you. So again, I'm going to be a bit blunt on this. This is, in my view, that's not an issue. Let me tell you why. Again, you have to go very deep into this, right? So I'll give you the same example in Edathwa. Edathwa, 15 years back, I wanted to automate cultivation, right? And I tried to say, let us bring in machines and all of that, and the whole labor community revolted against this and said, Thomas, we are not going to allow you to automate your paddy field, and we'll have manual labor. Why? Because we want to protect jobs, correct? What happened today? What do you think happened for the jobs? Gone, because the rice produced manually is not even competitive. So the very logic of trying to protect employment created economic destruction. No, I'm coming to your point. Now, if you actually take your logic and I stretch it, the countries with highest automation should have highest unemployment, which is no. So these are all interim, illogical explanations given by politicians. Let me put it very bluntly. Because if you follow your logic, the more you digitalize, then unemployment should go up? No. This is a temporary philosophy. What really happens is that when you are automating, the economic value created per person goes up. They will, more and more economic activities will come in to fill in the job. But there is an interim phase in which unemployment will happen. So, because it is a very wrong logic given by people that if you automate, people will lose job. No. If you see, job means what? So how much will Thomas get paid? It is depending on the value I create. So the moment you automate half of my work, the value I create is much more than before you automated half of it. That is why in the most automated countries, the unemployment rate is the lowest and the per capita GDP is the highest. So it is not a correct statement. But so the issue is not that unemployment gets created, the issue is we did not handle it properly. If we handle it properly, unemployment will come down, because people, you will not have people anymore. You are short of people. Yeah, because the value a person can create doubles, so he is eager to work. Because today, like I can use without an automated machine, I can only pluck coconut from one tree. Tomorrow with an automated machine, the same person can pluck coconut from 20. His job has become better, no? He is in demand. You see, it's actually the other way around. And I can prove it with data. Yeah, exactly. So it's all the politicians giving this logic about, I'm protecting your job, so you give me votes, I'll help you. It's all bullshit.
For instance,
Yeah.
you can't get manual labor in Kerala.
Correct.
Not a Malayali,
Not so
Malayali.
yeah. Yeah, up to you. If we can, yeah. Just maybe we should one or two more questions and then we close. Yeah. Yes. Very good.
What I was thinking is compared to developed countries and developing countries like India. So in developed countries, people are not scared of losing their jobs because they are protected by their social security, for example. So does our country has any plans to be in place to have such social security, so that when I do consulting, I see a lot of scary faces because they are afraid that they are going to lose jobs, and it's an interim situation that we have. They will lose jobs, but what will they do? So we don't have answers. So does we have, being from a premium firm, does we have a consultant with the government of India who are working to implement a social security scheme?
Correct.
Something like that.
So the answer is much more complicated than that. Even in today's government, they like to have social security. The problem is, where is the funding going to come from? So the issue is not whether you want to give social security. It is again answering Swapna's question, countering her thinking, because it is not that we don't want to give social security. We don't have the funding. If you want to have the funding, you have to digitalize. You have to improve the economy. Then your GDP goes up, then you get more tax, then you have more funding, and then we can still do social security, but we can give social security, but it will not be the proper one, because it's you are giving social security with significant financial constraints. Yeah.
Do you think that this cycle will continue, right? So when we digitalize, like we have general AI coming up, and after that we have more advanced AI coming up, which is completely like 90% replacement. So these are the plans of big techs which are coming in.
Correct.
So when we digitalize, we have this interim shift, and after we digitalize, we will see something new is going to happen.
Correct.
We have to adapt to that.
Correct.
So in that scenario, still it's a government decision that they should actually implement this model.
Correct.
At any cost by
Correct.
investing into it. So does we have any?
Yes, there are definitely 100%. Social security, health and education is there in the agenda for many years. It's not new, but our frustration is because it's not getting implemented. It's not that whether the government is trying to do that or not to do that and all of that. So it's not about there's any doubt about whether we need social security, but in the way you explained, the problem is you are saying that it is becoming more severe. That I have because I think that unemployment will not increase if handled properly. Because if that is the logic, again the social security constraints will be higher in developed countries, which is not the case. Social security constraints are in
I think the social security is there already there.
Yes, it's there.
Gratuities and all
Correct.
these welfare schemes,
Correct.
free rations.
Correct.
But kind of a
Correct.
How far we can digitalize this healthcare and education? Because both, human element is high.
Correct.
A teacher is addressing not only woman body, let's say mind and heart is there, like a doctor. So that cannot be taken over by digitalization.
You will not take it out fully.
How far it can go? 80%, 60%, 90%?
In my view, 80 to 90%. Right. But let me give you. Okay, I will restrict everything in another 5 minutes, because no, I'm not sure. I'm fine, right? Let me make a little bit joke. He was making fun of somebody who stayed there for 3 hours. I heard that. So, and it was a negative fun. So I have to be careful. So, see, let me handle that slightly differently, right? it is not about the maximum benefit of education and healthcare is not coming from digitalizing who is getting currently educated and getting health. It is for the people who are not getting it. Because the cost of education is coming down tremendously. And the cost of healthcare, because of remote sensing, remote treatment, a nurse can take an instruction from a doctor can use the nurse's hand to give treatment. So the benefit, when I said it is not, when I said healthcare and education, the fact that digitalization will reduce the cost, it is not extremely important for people who can afford. There is a segment of the population today who's not getting anything. Now they can get it at 1/10 the cost, and they will start getting education and healthcare. That is the fundamental purpose of digitalizing healthcare and education. It is not to reduce the cost of the wealthy people in the room. It is to give people education and healthcare that they don't get today. That is where it really kicks in. I'll give one last example to just convey a message about unemployment, and this is a real example that happened in Saudi Arabia. I was doing a project for a company called Saudi Telecom. We made a recommendation to eliminate 14,000 jobs. So that company had 28,000 people. We made a recommendation to take out 14,000 people from the telecom operations. And we made that presentation to the telecoms minister. We made it, there's something called Shura Council, which is equivalent to the parliament. There's an advisory body to the king. And finally, we had to go to the ruler of Saudi Arabia. Not the current king. This was around 10 to 12 years back. So it was before the current king, the king 2 times prior. Yeah. So people were very worried to go to the king and tell him that we want to fire, because Saudi Telecom is a local telecom, and 12,000 people are Saudi nationals, so they don't know how to fire them. See, what we need to understand is, and that is very much linked to the first statement that I made, using human beings to do activities that is not required to be done by human beings is destroying value tremendously. So when 12,000 people are working and we ask them to not work, we are not. So I went to, when in the discussion with the ruler, I said, are you worried about employment? Are you worried about income? They didn't understand the question. I said, what do you mean? I said, I'm asking you, I want you to give me a clear answer. My dear Excellency, you are saying we cannot take out 14,000 jobs. Are you really worried about 14,000 jobs, or are you worried about the income for the 14,000 people? It took 5 minutes for him to understand. He said, Thomas, I'm worried about the income. Did I ask you not to pay them? Because the savings is 5 times the salary of the 14,000 people. You just sit at home. Because a job that is not required, if you come and do that job, you are creating 5 times more disruption in the organization. The cost, he has a boss to manage him, he will go and tinker something that is not required. You have to give him coffee, tea, space, electricity, computer. So the cost is 5 times. So we should always distinguish between somebody having a job or somebody getting a salary. And if you distinguish it, we will not be very worried about taking out people from job, because you can take out somebody from job and give him the salary. He will go and sit at home. And it actually happened in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Yeah, I did it. 14,000 people were paid and they were asked to sit at home. Out of the 14,000 people, around 3,000 people got retired, so it was okay. So then around 5,000 to 6,000 people got trained and educated, they got another job, and another 4,000 to 5,000 people, we paid them for 10 to 12 years. And the savings was in billions and billions of Saudi riyal.
Sir, can you do this for India?
Why not? Because in India, the problem is not about somebody losing job. If you give the income, they will not resist. No. Do you know what happened in Saudi Telecom?
You have the technology to ensure this.
There's no technology for this. It's
happening in ONGC.
Yeah,
when some crisis manager asked not to come. Now this what is it? Online job, something like that only. You sit at home.
Correct.
No need of AC, no need of office. You work from home.
Let me give you the funny part of it. When I did this project and the results were announced, I started getting people from, Thomas, do you actually need my job also? Can you also cancel my job? Oh God, why only those 14,000 people? Maybe my job is also not required. That's it. Yeah.
That is the important part.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like withering of the state.
Yeah.
Communist terminology. Withering
of the state. Correct. Exactly.
That has happened when computerization came.
Correct,
Jobs,
absolutely, correct.
and all.
Correct, yeah, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For the highly enlightening and thought-provoking session. May I now invite our Vice President, Mr. Dilip Narayanan, to hand over a token of appreciation to the Speaker of the Day, Mr. Thomas Kuruvilla.
Thank you everyone for your engaging participation. As we come towards the conclusion of this evening, I invite Mr. K. Anil Verma, Honorable Secretary, to deliver the vote of thanks.
What I don't understand is that this AI or what the tools coming in, what are the humans going to do? You can buy things, you can go, you need not go to the hospital to consult a doctor, so you just have to sit at home. I don't know. And what are we supposed to do then after this? You have everything on your tools, in coming in, and everything is there in place. No education required. So why do you want to educate, learn something? Because everything is there. The computer will tell you, or the things will tell you. I don't know. I think it is, we still talk about when the computers came in, maybe 20, 30 years back, people were worried about losing jobs, and now you know what is happening. So I think days, in the coming days, coming years, everything is changing. So we don't know what is coming next. Maybe AI will be a different version. And thank you, sir, for enlightening us, and great interaction we had. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to. I think you need to have more time for this. And also, I thank the audience for the active participation, and all the K members, MC members, and student members. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Now I request everyone to kindly rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. With that, we conclude today's session. We hope you find this evening insightful and enriching. Wishing you all a pleasant evening ahead. Thank you for being a wonderful audience.